Hey, it's Monday. When I was young, I was the good Lord's daughter. Didn't do nothing that would stir the water. My hair on pigtails and my saddle shoes laced. You could read my heart by the smile on my face. Oh, dream long and slow, but it don't mean nothing about the way things go. Oh, now I'm racing against the clock and wondering when I'll ever fit into those old blue jeans. I know my heart, I know myself, I love my life, but I don't know what any of it means. Hey, Ken, so I'll spend another day, put another suitcase down, and say, Daddy, you were right, Daddy, you were right again. Oh. When I was young, I wanted somebody to kiss me, someone to hold me, somebody to miss me. 'Cause in my mind it was the end of the story. It was lovely, man, and it was holy. Oh, dream long and slow, but it don't mean nothing about the way things go. Now I'm racing against the clock and wondering when I'll ever fit into those old blue jeans. I know my heart, I know myself, I love my life, but I don't know what any of it means. So I'll spend another day, put another suitcase down. Hey, Craig, say, Daddy, you were right, Daddy, you were right again. Oh, When I was young, I was the good Lord's daughter. Jenny, hey! Guys, it's been Denise. Hello. It has been 2 weeks since I've been on here, and it always just feels like a lifetime. I'm just hitting things here. Got back from Nashville on Thursday at like 3 a.m. And so I'm gonna remove this banner because I feel like I'm hiding half myself. So we went to Nashville. I had an audition scheduled and some writing sessions, and we get like we were like an hour out of town, and I looked online and realized that venues were canceling for the weekend because there were going to be 2 to 5 inches of snow in Nashville. I was like, the last thing I would have expected coming from Massachusetts. And then I started panicking because apparently, and maybe you all know this, snow in the South is different than snow in the North. Although we get more, we are more prepared for it. Like, they don't have salt trucks. So 2 inches of snow down south is apparently a very big deal. And then I'm thinking to myself, okay, we got to prepare. Like, we're going to be snowed in with these 2 inches of snow at the Hampton Inn. And so went to Whole Foods and like, I was trying to prepare for like myself and my husband and a toddler. And the only thing I could think to buy was a charcuterie board. like that is the only snowstorm food that my brain could compute is charcuterie board. So I was on top of that charcuterie board. And then we didn't even get any snow. It was like snow a mile out of town, all around Nashville was snowing, and we were fine, and it was fine. And wrote a couple of really cool songs and made plans with some other co-writers. And what the heck else happened on that trip? I went to Antietam. Have any of you visited Antietam National Battlefield? Oh, my friend Christian said that down south they don't have blacktop roads as much. They have concrete, which ices differently than tar. You learn something new every day. Thank you for that, Christian. Yes, Ken, charcuterie. Like, you can't. My friend has a business, and she makes the most beautiful charcuterie boards. Like, I salivate just thinking about charcuterie. And I have to tell you, so I'm a bit of a distance away from my computer, and I can see all your comments over here. And someone posted one that says, "Thank you, Lord, for your unwavering faithfulness, grace, and mercy. I love you so, so much." I see that it says that now, and that is to God. But like from here, I thought, wow, this person's like really passionate about my unwavering faithfulness to every Monday night. I completely misunderstood that. Anyway, here we are, and it is Monday. And I have some new songs to share. And my new song came out on Friday. If you follow me, you probably have seen too many posts about my new song. But I've been posting about it so much because it's just such an issue that's so close to my heart and has had such an impact on my family that I just really want to share it with everybody. So here I am. I'm going to remind you, even though you probably already know because you're here, about this song, which came out on Friday. And my goal for it is for it to have 1,000 streams on Spotify by this Friday. So if you use Spotify and wouldn't mind giving it a spin or two, it would mean a heck of a lot to me. It's such a funny animal because there's all these different metrics that they use to rate different artists. Like we all have a rating on 0 to 100 on there. So getting 1,000 streams in a shorter period of time is one of those metrics. So the song that I released is about, I wrote it about recovery from an eating disorder, but what I'm gathering from other people is that it can relate to other addictions. And so she's in the waiting room. Someone's going to come on here. We're going to talk a little bit about eating disorders. Hey, Dave. But I'm going to do one more song before we do that, just so you can prepare yourself mentally, because I've never told anybody who this person is that we've been fighting this war with. So she's getting ready backstage, and I'm gonna play you, since we're gonna do a song called Sober, maybe I'll do a song about drinking. I don't know, like maybe that's really, maybe I'm really out of touch here and I shouldn't do that, but. So here's a funny thing about this song. Hey Mickey, hey. I was just talking about Nashville and the 2 inches of snow. So this song, as you may already know, I wrote to a prompt, and the prompt that I had received was sloppy, and I got it, and I'm like, what a gross word. That's like right up there with moist. Like I try to avoid using them in sentences at all costs. And so then at the last minute, I wrote this song called Sloppy. I presented it to some publishers in Nashville a while back, and the response that it got was, yeah, it's really catchy, but I just wish you used a different word. So they didn't like the word sloppy, but like, who does love the word sloppy? I mean, it's just, anyway, I'll stop talking and I'll just sing the song. I can't face it no more. No familiar feet walking through the door. One away. What's it gonna take to make this bird sing? But lately I've been holding on to certain vices, and sometimes I get sloppy. myself. I'm better letting it go before the bottom drops out below me. Hear a million voices that just wanna show me hiding no hope, ain't no way to turn it around. Burying the bottom, believe life keeps going, forgetting the fear as it comes every morning. 'Cause I have wings and I get sloppy when no one's there to stop me. No, I take the bottle off the shelf. What am I doing to myself? I have to tell you, if you've heard the recorded version of that song, right after the bridge, I hit a really high note and I belt it, and I've never been able to do it again. It was a one-time thing, and every time I get to that moment in the song, I just want so badly to sing the note in my chest register, and I cannot because it is too high. Anyway, I'm glad the one time I was able to sing that note, it was recorded for posterity. I want to throw one other thought out before I bring my guest on tonight. Thank you, Ken. That's what I was trying to like transition to the song. You caught me. So while I was in Nashville, somebody hacked into my Facebook page and started messaging you all. And it was a really terrifying moment because I'm like, oh my gosh, my entire music business lives here. Like, I would lose my whole business if I lost my Facebook page, or, you know, like if this person keeps messaging my fans, they're gonna go away. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? And then I remembered the advice that every publicist has given, which is you need a mailing list. And I have a mailing list. I just don't promote it enough. So if you are of a mind to, go to gracemorrison.com. Wait, look, I'm so good at technology that I can do this. Because tonight I made my very own tab at the top of my website where you can click it. It says mailing list. It's very clear, and you can put your email there, and I made it myself. And then if something happens to Facebook, we can still connect. And I, just so you know, between you and me, I'm taking a class on how to better do emailing to your mailing list. And so I'm trying to make that better. And same thing with my Patreon, really working to build those two things. So if you like what I do and you want to connect in those ways, just go to gracemorrison.com and join the mailing list. Make me happy. Okay, my guest. Are you ready? Thumbs up me if you're ready. Oh, Chris, yes. No, I can do the reverb because the reverb's not a button. It's a little knob. All right, here's my guest. Dun, 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 dun. There she is. Hey, say hi.
Hi.
This is Lauren. We confuse everybody because I say that she's my daughter. She's my stepdaughter. And so sometimes I call her my staughter, and she calls me stuther, you know, like mother, but
Yes.
stepmother, and it's just smushed. Can you tell them about the funny thing with the coffee? She works at a coffee shop. Can you tell them, or you want me to tell them?
You can.
Because I just thought it was so funny. So she works at a coffee shop, and I got an espresso machine for Christmas. My goal is to stop spending too much money at Starbucks. Anyway, so she got me a bag of espresso, and she had labeled it Stuther, but forgot to bring it home. And so when we went to go pick it up, they were like, well, whose name is on the bag? And I was like, I don't know, Grace. And they were like, is this it? Stother? Is it Stother? Y'all, it's Stuther. Anyway, Lauren is here because she and I and our family have been kicking, pardon my French, we've been kicking some ass for the past couple of years, yeah?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'd say so.
We've been waging a war. And, you know, I've always said, like, my loved one has been having this struggle. I've never said who it was, but here we are to talk about it, because eating disorders and our culture, like, our culture just feeds into it, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
I call her Callie also, so if I call her Cal, it's still the same person. um, so I wanted to talk a little bit about it because I'll be honest, before we started fighting this thing, I didn't really know much about eating disorders. Like, I knew they existed. Maybe that's what I knew. And so I guess, and we have a plan here tonight that if we start talking about something that feels uncomfortable, we're going to stop. But we're doing this because all the posts that I made over the past week about the song, I've had people saying like, wow, I never thought about that. I'm going to try to do better. And so we just, like, that's our mission, is to try to raise some awareness and help people to think before they speak. Right?
Mhm.
That's their plan. Okay. So, can you hear our dogs? So the first question that I had thought of, Cal, is can you remember how this whole thing started? Was it like a switch got flipped in your mind one day? Was there like a triggering event?
I don't even remember how it started, but I just remember it happened really quickly.
Just like all of a sudden one day you just had a different mind.
Yeah, and I think,
Hi, Keith.
and I guess speaking of comments that people make, I think one of the things building up to it is like getting, like when people comment on how your body's looking better, or yeah.
It's
and
such a
like that feeds into your to wanting to change more, but then it turns into doing it in a not so healthy way.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, I was talking about this a couple weeks ago, how, people will comment on your weight loss as if it's like a normal thing to compliment without knowing the reason behind it. And somebody with disordered eating is not hearing the compliment, right? Lauren, what you're hearing is, you look less gross than you used to. Why don't you keep looking less gross? And so it's just not a helpful thing, and it's a really detrimental thing, especially thinking about like that was the thing that started this for you.
Yeah. And I feel like not necessarily even thinking that or interpreting it as people thinking I looked bad before, but I think feeding into it, making it seem like I'm doing something right.
So you want to keep doing that thing.
Yeah.
Because you want to keep getting those compliments.
Yeah.
And it's, I feel like, certainly, just like with drinking, there are people who can have a drink once in a while and be fine, and there are people who cannot. Right? And eating disorders are very similar to that, right? Like, some people could receive a compliment about weight loss and be fine. Like, all right, so I can kind of, one of the struggles that we've had, I think, is as support person, understanding where you're coming from. And so all the time I try to like put myself in your mind and like try to figure out how to help you by putting myself there. And the closest I think I can come is a few years back, I did Weight Watchers. And like I was eating these tiny little meals. And then I remember feeling like if I didn't eat the tiny little meal on Weight Watchers, I would have incredible guilt. Like if I ate more than I was supposed to on that plan. And so would you say that that's comparable to how it feels for you?
Yeah.
It's like a guilt. So this is my next question, because I think a lot of people also don't really, like, what is an eating disorder? Are you afraid of food?
Okay, so I'm sorry, I just dropped something. That was
That's okay.
very unprofessional of me.
Oh, cool, man.
I'm not afraid of it. I think that it's like a mental block. And it's knowing how I feel after having it.
Okay. So
I'd rather just not start.
So you just feel uncomfortable after eating.
But yes, and it's like going and picking up a piece of food and wanting to have it, but then remembering how it feels afterwards and not being able to have it.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. That makes total sense. And I've been working a little bit with NEDA, which is the Eating Disorders Association, National Eating Disorders Association. And this research hasn't been published yet, but they're finding, like, Lauren, you can speak to this. Like, I keep referring to the eating disorder and, like, comparing it to alcoholism. Like, that's a thing I do all the time because alcoholism is a thing I understand. They're actually finding a link between substance abuse and eating disorders. Like those things are pretty linked, and it's just like people. I mean, it's all kind of avoiding the bad feeling, right? Like that's how addictions kind of start. Like with drinking, I'm trying to avoid thinking about my life. And with sounds like for you, it's avoiding feeling guilty about eating the food. So for you, I mean, you can only speak for you, and I'm sure this feels different for everybody, but is it pretty entrenched in just like body image? Is that basically how it feels for you?
Yeah.
And so here's the thing we can talk about, because I keep talking about how these addictions are like vortexes that just suck anybody in who loves the person who's suffering. And, you know, we've had some butting heads over it, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, you know, for me, I'm like, just eat the food. Because for me, when I do not eat, I turn miserable. You can speak to that too.
Mm.
I'm like an awful person if I haven't eaten my meal, right? So I got kind of sidetracked a little bit, but here's a big important question, because this is the main message we want to get out. What sort of things in society or in things that people say to you make this harder for you to fight?
Well, I think first of all, it's not as simple as just eating the food, because
I know.
otherwise people wouldn't have eating disorders if they could just eat the food.
Right.
Or I know there are other types, but
I was saying it like for me as a support person, I understand that it's not that simple, but at the same time, for somebody who doesn't actually understand like me, it's like you just can't, you know, you look at it, you're like, oh, it's just you just put that in your mouth, like that should be so easy, you just do this, and it's not. It's not that, but it, like, you know, when we've been battling it for so long, it's just hard all the way around, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
It's a big ball of suck. My mother would tell me to wash my mouth out with soap for saying that. Okay. All right. So we talked a little bit about, you know, little things that have triggered this for you in the past. Is there anything that people can say that makes this feel better? Is it helpful, like, to know other people struggle with this, or anything you can think of?
I think that it's helpful for people to understand that it's not that easy to just eat, because then there's a lot of pressure when people are being told to just eat the food.
I feel like she's referring to me and her.
What?
It's, you know what I'm noticing, and cut me off if you think of something, Cal, but it's like with drug abuse and with alcoholism, like those things are in our society, but not all the time every day, right? But like food is everywhere and you need it all day long, right?
Yeah.
And like any store you go to, there is food, and holidays, there is food. And it's just like, I think that must make it so much harder.
Yeah, like you can't just put food away.
There's
you can't just not have it in the house.
There's just no escaping it.
Yeah.
So I'm really grateful that you were willing to come on here and talk about this. And then, you know, kind of leading into the song. So I wrote this song in one of our low points. Because, you know, we've had many instances where, like, she's having a hard time eating the meal, and I'm like, just eat the goddamn food. And, like, I turn into this awful version of myself. Like, I've talked a little bit this past week about how these things, like, for the support person, they just, like, steal your empathy.
I also have a comparison that I haven't really said before, but I wonder if this will
do it.
Help a little bit. So do you know how you feel when you don't eat or when you're hungry?
Yes.
That's how I feel when I know that I'm going to have to eat something, or how I feel after.
That's really, like that would be really interesting.
Sense of not being able to control my emotions.
Okay. So it's not even like, so when I get hungry, my blood sugar gets low. Like I have very little control over getting frustrated or angry. right? Like, I need to eat bread. And
Yeah.
you feel like it's pretty comparable for you. It's just like a
At least what
brain,
it sounds like. Yeah.
like a brain full of anxiety.
Yeah.
And do you, because you've had anxiety that you've struggled with too, do you feel like this issue is pretty comparable to just having anxiety on all the time? If food is involved?
Yeah, I think so. And then it's also hard because even before having an eating disorder, I have a hard time eating when I feel anxious.
Well, I think, you know, if anyone has any questions, now's the time to throw them up there. I feel like most people have a hard time eating when they're anxious.
Yeah, I feel like it's either anxiously eat or anxiously don't eat.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because that's when you have anxiety, you're in fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
Your body's not like, yeah, it's eating time. So the song I wrote after a particularly low point that we had, and I was just sitting on the back porch, and I was so frustrated. And I think, you know, it makes me so frustrated because I love you so much, right? And it's just, and it's so hard to watch someone you love, and like they can't help themselves, and you can't help them, and it's just like. So I wrote this song because I really just, I feel like you were at a point where you didn't think that you could ever get better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And like now you know that you can. It is not easy. But now you know that you can. And I bet you that a lot of people struggling like just don't know that they can get better.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts for anybody who's like maybe at the beginning of their struggle with this?
Yeah, I think that, I don't know, I think just
You can do it.
just taking your time is important. And not feeling like you have to, like there's a certain timeline. Because there's really no timeline to how long it takes.
Is there hope on that timeline that doesn't exist? Is there hope there?
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. I feel like you had some points where you felt like there was none.
Yeah.
And I feel like now we're at a point where you can see it. Right? Like you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, even though you have to like crawl through thorns to get to it. Hope is there.
Yeah.
And you're a beautiful, wonderful person who deserves the light at the end of that tunnel, my friend.
Who's also wearing Grace Morrison merch.
Yeah, she's my very first customer of this sweatshirt, y'all. Isn't it lovely? You can get it on gracemorrison.com. Thank you, Lauren, for hanging out.
No problem.
I'm gonna play your song.
Okay.
And I might put you in the waiting room. And if you want to just hang out till the end of the song, just in case, if anybody had any thoughts or questions or anything, they could ask them. And if I remember a thing I wanted to say, then I can say it. And then we'll reconvene one more time real quick.
Yeah.
That work? Okay.
Sure.
That's Lauren, everybody. So she just, so you all know, that girl has absolutely changed my life. Even before all this crap. She's just like the most supportive, kind person that I've ever known. And I think that's what's been another really hard piece of this. Lauren, Denise, thanks you for coming on. And this is what I wanted to say when she was on, and I'll say it again. The reason she came on tonight, you know, people, as I've been posting about this, and people who knew that it was her that was struggling would say to me, you can't put that on the internet. You can't do that. But, you know, what I would say to them is I for sure asked her permission before I posted anything. But why should there be stigma and embarrassment around health concerns like this? I think one of the reasons that people don't seek help for eating disorders or other addiction is that they're embarrassed. They're afraid people are going to judge them. And I just feel like the more people talk about these issues, like mental health issues are health issues, the more people talk about it, the easier it's going to be for other people to get help. So that's my soapbox. you lay down slow, too gone to know your bones, they glow. Everybody knows that you're not ready. I'll hold your hand, baby, slow and steady. One small step and it's all over. I hope you know that you can get sober. Silent sleep, your dreams skin deep, bleeding love, too cold to touch. Everybody knows that you are fading, looking at a gravestone, contemplating. One small step and it's all over. I hope you know that you can get sober. Don't want to write it down, the thoughts that steal your crown. 'Cause everybody knows that you are fading, looking at a gravestone, contemplating. One small slip and it's all over. I hope you know that you can get sober. I'm gonna bring her back. Except she's there. She is. That was an entrance. So Lauren, I just want you to know, you can't see the comments, can you? Or can you see the comments? Oh wait, I muted you. Sorry. Are you able to see the comments?
No.
Well, I will tell you that what they say is, thank you for talking about this publicly. Some subjects like these are important and need to be talked about. And a lot of thank you, and you're so brave for coming and talking about it.
That's so sweet.
So I had 2 more thoughts. Did you hear the thing I said after I put you in the waiting room?
Yeah.
Okay. But the more important thing, and I'm wondering if you can like emphasize this, is there should be no embarrassment or stigma around mental health issues, because a mental health issue is just a health issue.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And so once again, like if you are struggling, you just go seek help. Nita has been great for us, and anytime I've had a frustration, they have almost instantly responded to me. And if there are any like parents on here or people who have concerns about loved ones having this issue, are there any things you can think of, like a 1 or a 2 thing that people could look for as like, whoa, my person maybe needs some help? And or a thing that they could or should do if they sense that their person needs help? You got more people who admire your courage, girl.
Ooh.
I mean, in our case, you came to us and told us you had this problem.
Yeah.
We didn't have to look for it.
I think you can just kind of tell with how they're acting.
Or maybe like, at the dinner table saying like, oh, I don't feel good, I don't want to eat. Like if you notice that happening a lot.
Yeah.
Little things like that. And then what would you say parents should do? Like what we did was immediately call the doctor. Do you feel like that was the right thing to do? Or is there a way we could have done that better?
I think it's better to contact a doctor or something rather than going right to the person, because then they'll
Get defensive?
defense, yeah, and probably won't tell the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Well, listen, I love you.
I love you too.
And honestly, like, one of the biggest things that I feel like this has stolen from us is, and as all addictions do, the impact the relationships that people have, right? So, like, I'm pissed at this illness for impacting us because you're like top of my favorite people list. So, but you know, if you're having this battle and you're in one of those dips with your person, like, it gets better, right?
Mhm.
We're there. You just have to keep at least trying to approach your person with love and concern instead of a heavy-handed, just eat the food, right?
Mhm.
This honestly was really helpful for me too, Lauren, and I hope
Yeah.
we're able to help some other people.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too. I'm gonna click the exit button.
I'll see you upstairs later.
All right.
Oh man, thank you all for hanging out with Lauren and I. She's really like, I can't say enough what a gem that person is. Everybody who meets her pretty much describes her as like a walking ray of sunshine. I'm sure that translated here. So hey, I have a happy new song that I wrote. And I'm gonna need my lyrics. And my friend Tom Katie from Missouri is here. I talked about the trip already, but man, did I have a ball going to Missouri in November. All by myself. It's funny, like, I'm a grown-ass woman, but traveling to Missouri all by myself felt like a scary adventure. Thank you, Ken. No stigma around these health issues. Yes, Denise, I want you to meet Lauren in person. She's just the cat's meow. So, talking about mental health issues, I had a period of time, I would say back in November, and yes, Keith, you'll be able to watch it later, and honestly, I'd like her to come on again another time because we didn't plan that conversation. I had some sketches of questions I wanted to ask, but you know, like, you don't want to say something that's going to be upsetting either. So I want to have her on again and maybe see if anybody has any thoughts or questions they want to ask about. Anyway, back in November, I was most definitely like wallowing in self-pity. If you interacted with me in November, I'm so sorry. But it was a hard time. You know, we were really like in the depths of our struggle with that. And then I had this moment, I'm like, God, woman, look outside. Like, look where you live. It is beautiful. Like, you have this beautiful sun. Like, take a moment and think, wow, things are actually not that bad. Like, there's beautiful things in my life. And so, I don't know if this is really cheesy, but this was just me, like, talking to myself about appreciating where I'm at every day. Catch myself sometimes wondering what if I had walked a different highway. Would it be bliss, or would I miss this? I ask the tough questions. Be better still if I had more in my pocket or just a bigger cup to fill. I wonder until everything slows down before me and I have time to think. I just breathe in, breathe out, and take stock of everything I'm seeing. I've lived too long without Everybody's got their demons, and mine float in my head. That I'm a walking failure, and I made my bed without a lie in it. Oh, but here's the thing about existence: nothing ever really ends. You'll finish the chapter and a new one begins. The book's continuing. Then everything slows down before me, and I have time to think. And so I breathe in, breathe out, and take stock of everything I'm seeing. I've lived too long without appreciating the life I'm living somehow. And I'll start now. I'll start now. Yeah, I'll start now. That song's so new, I don't know how to end it. Ken Nagelberg, hello! I'm so glad to be back here. And as cheesy as that song may be, I needed it in that moment because, man, it can be really easy to, dive into the pool of self-loathing and just swim around a little bit. Ken, I have not played Mothers yet, but I could. I'm glad you brought that up because today is my son's 3rd birthday. And so, naturally, I've spent the whole day reminiscing about this day. 3 years ago, I know exactly what I was doing at this moment, and nobody would have wanted to speak to me at that time. And I remember coming home after I had my son. And now, this kind of circles back. We were talking about eating disorders and poor body image, which I haven't had an eating disorder, but thank you, Keith. I'm so glad you like that song. I've never shared it with anybody. But I have always, from the time I was a little girl, disliked my body. And so Ken, that's so sweet. Thank you. But I remember after I had my son, look at my body and think, wow, you are a badass. Like, you just made a human with no painkillers. And it was just like the first time in my whole life that I loved myself. Isn't that interesting? I've never said that out loud before, but it really was. And like, what a gift. Anytime I'm feeling like I'm self-loathing or just depressed for some stupid reason, I just look at my kid and I'm like, whoa, you are great. I can hang my hat on that. Like, I did a great thing in the world just because of you. And if you didn't see my picture of the cake that I made, it's on my Instagram and it's on my, not my personal Facebook page, which some of you may be on, but it's on my other one. Ken says, baby making will do that. Yeah, so I am not a baker. I am not, nor am I an artist. But birthday cakes, I've made him 3, obviously, now, and each one of them has been really, I'm proud of all of them. His first year, he had a Mickey cake. And then last year, I did Batman and Robin with the 1966 Adam West Batman and Robin silhouettes from the cartoon intro. Look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. And then he's really into Super Mario Brothers. So, and he only likes bad guys. So we put the little brown mushroom bad guy on his cake. So I'd love for you to go take a look at it and, revel in my artistry. I'm so bad at visual arts. Ken, I have 3 songs about being a mom. And I think that this is the one. Thank you, Denise. Denise liked my cake. Can I believe this is the one you are referring to? I haven't played it in a while. And if I muck up the lyrics, I beg y'all to forgive me. Need my reverb, though. There are mothers and there are sons. There are planes in the heavens above. There is dirt and there is mud. There is hurting and there is love. Just a flash across the road. Hearts racing as the car is slow. There is life in every leaf, and there is blood inside of me. There is rain and tired feet, babies crying in the desert heat, and mama sings while mama cries the last of her sweet lullabies. There is comfort and there is warmth. There is shelter from every storm. There is hope and there is light, just like darkness in the night. There are mothers and there are sons. There are flowers and there are guns. There's hope. I forgot the end of my song. Man! I'm glad there's more live stream for me to redeem myself. I haven't played that song in a really long time. How the heck does it end? I'll circle back. Ken Nagelberg, thank you for making a song request. And I'm so sorry I mucked it up. Because every week I'm asking people for song requests, and you're the first one. You're the first one in a minute to give me a request. So thank you. I'm sorry, I owe you one. So I actually, it's interesting. When I wrote that song, it kind of all came at once. I was driving around with my son. Oh, Ken, like you would record a version of it? That I don't care if you're not James Taylor. I would be honored if anybody covered my song. My goodness, I've had one song that somebody else recorded. It's called America, and my friend recorded a version of that. I would be honored, man. So yeah, I wrote that song driving around with my son, and it was when he was tiny, and I was like, oh, look at the birds and look at the clouds, and then I just had this moment, and so the song was becoming me, like just singing the things we could see, and then I just got to this point where like, oh my gosh, someday I'm gonna have to explain to him that bad things happen too, and like that was my first big mom weeping moment. Oh, Ken, thank you. Ken Nagelberg. I've got two Kens on here. Ken Nagelberg. If I get Ellis Paul to record my song, I could hang my hat on that career. Do you know Ellis Paul? Do you have a contact? Let's make it happen. That would be so cool. So yeah, it's so funny. Like before I had my son, I cried easily and a lot. But since I've had him, it's worse, and I didn't think it could get worse. And so I don't want to make you think poorly of my husband, but one of his favorite things to do is to play this certain song called, the heck is it called? It's called Where Have You Been? Does anybody know the country song Where Have You Been? Side note, Ken Nagelberg, if Lauren McKenna recorded my song, I would just like melt into a puddle. The song is Where Have You Been? And it's really heartbreaking, and it's a country song, and all the great country songs have a twist at the end, like twisting the meaning. And this one, it's about a couple who's been in love their whole lives, and one of them has Alzheimer's. It's like dagger in your soul, sad. Anyway, my husband plays me that song because he likes it, and I will just cry for about 24 hours. I think the last time we listened to that song, I cried so much that I couldn't open my eyes the next morning. And to me, that's kind of the definition of motherhood, is being really, really very much in touch with one's emotions. And yeah. But also he's 3 and likes to put Play-Doh in his hair. So, it balances out. It truly does. So I have a set list. I don't often make set lists, but tonight I did. Mike, hello! Thank you for being here. I'm just noodling around and talking about being a mom. I could play my Laurie McKenna song. I'm going to do something a little more up first, and then I'll do my Laurie McKenna song, because that's about my son too. I'm going to play Melody, hello! Melody just joined right exactly as I forgot the lyrics to my song. That's a perfect moment to join, and I feel like it truly captures the essence of the evening. Tonight's theme is Let's Be Real. All right, so Lone Star. If you've heard me perform before, you probably know my whole spiel about it. But it's really about... I've always felt like an outsider. And I feel like more people feel like outsiders than people feel like insiders. So Mike has me on Mike's Lunch Music up in... Am I saying... Sorry, I'm a little bit blind. Sainte-Marie, Canada? Is that... Mike, is that something I can share with everybody? Is there a website I can share with everybody? If so, put it in the comments, and I'll share it with everyone to tune into Mike's Lunch Music. What was I talking about? Oh, yes. So I've always felt like an outsider, and my husband also, and we're awkward people, and I think there's this tendency, you just kind of feel like you'll never find your person, and I mean, he and I were friends. I mean, I taught Lauren, who was on earlier. I was her piano teacher, and that's how we met. And my mom. Oh, Keith, the Shanna in a Dress song, A Face Like Your... Yes, I'm with you, Keith. What was I talking about? Feeling like outsiders. So anyway, my mom said to me one point, she said, "You do know that man is really interested in you, right?" I was like, "No, there's no way that man is interested in me." I had no idea he was. And so we lost our house. It was auctioned off as we stood in the driveway. It was really awful. And my parents had lived there for 30 years. And so all these lifetimes of boxes were there. And so I had to take all the boxes because my parents had no place to go. And so anyway, I acquired all this shit. And I didn't know what to do with it. Because on the one hand, we've had all this stuff forever. How can you get rid of it? And on the other hand, why do I need it? So we had that particular summer, my now husband and I just had bonfires in the front yard, and we would look at the items. It was things like my notebook from 7th grade algebra or whatever, and we'd look at it and look at the funny things I wrote in it, and then we would just put it into the flames like a Viking funeral. And so, although the burning of items is not really in this song, it's more about two weirdos finding each other. And, sometimes you got to take a little risk, but it's worth it. And I hope that message translates. This is called Lone Star. Something about a summer night spent talking, just talking. Something in your summer eyes I'm liking. I've been a lone star as long as I've been here. But you offer up a glass that I can bear, and it's a real sure thing. We're all gonna fall. I'd rather spill the cup than feel nothing at all. This Lone Star. Sitting around this summer fire, we're drinking, just drinking. I'd like to ask you all the things you're thinking, but what am I thinking? I've been a lone star as long as I've been here, but you offer up a glass that I can bear, and it's a real sure thing. We're all gonna fall. I'd rather spill the cup than feel nothing at all. This Lone Star, this Lone Star. Help me, I'm burning up. I don't wanna give it up. Help me, I'm burning up for you. Something about the way you look at me smiling. What are you hiding? 'Cause it's a real sure thing. We're all gonna fall. I'd rather spill the cup than feel nothing at all. This Lone Star, this Lone Star. So I don't remember, and maybe you guys remember, if I had this new guitar on the last time I did my live stream, because this guitar I only got this month. Lori McKenna, Pat, thank you. Ken Nagelberg recommends the Lori McKenna song, The Not Deserving Song. Is that the title of it? Because I will totally check that out. Michael, thank you, thank you. I actually tonight put stereo audio on. I don't know if anybody can notice I did that. It's just a button that I saw and figured, what the heck, I will push this button and see if that improves the sound. That's how technical I am. Pat, thank you. Yeah, I love the sound of this guitar too. Essentially what happened is one of the local music shops is going out of business. And so everything was on sale. And the last time I got a guitar was 10 years ago. Might have been more like 12 years ago. And I've been needing a backup, because what happens if your good guitar goes, you need something else. And this guitar was like $500 off, and that's how I got it. It was a work necessity, I swear, but it just, yeah, it sounds great, and it feels really good too. So as I mentioned earlier, I was in Nashville last week to write. I've been writing with a lot of people, but most regularly with Barbara Cloyd. And she had, here's a term, maybe you don't know this, but when a songwriter has a song that's released by an artist, it's called getting a cut. So she had a cut. in 1993. Do you remember the singer Lori Morgan? And so Barbara Cloy wrote her song, I Guess You Had to Be There. And she's just like, she's the host of the Bluebird Cafe open mic, which is, the Bluebird Cafe was on the show Nashville, and it's like the place you want to play. And she told me that she's like the lifeguard at the kiddie pool in Nashville. Like, she just, all the songwriters know her, and she's a sweetheart and has so much wisdom to share about songwriting. And so we were writing last week. And side note, nerdy me hadn't realized in the previous visits to her house that her house is directly across from the Civil War Battle of Nashville. And as you may or may not already know, every time I go on a road trip and I see a historical sign, I must stop and see what happened at that spot. It's just really part of my soul. And so I was like, dude, you live right here next to this historical sign. Like, that is my dream, is to live at a place that's right next to a historical sign. Except that long stretch of highway between Lubbock, Texas and New Mexico. There are historical signs there, but I don't want to live there. It's not, well, if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. I'm just mumbling, y'all. So here, the thing that I wanted to say about Barbara was that we started writing a song, and she's just, Denise, I did not see your email. Was it on a Gmail account, or was it through Facebook? And if I can message you the correct email address. Yeah, Keith, history is so cool. Like, that whole stretch of highway I was talking about between Lubbock and New Mexico, it's all historical signs about Billy the Kid. And, you know, that's a piece of history I had never really studied before, but it's just like, I don't know, being in those places next to the historical signs, it just makes it all feel so real and present. And, you know, studying the Civil War makes me so much more patriotic. You know, you think about the fight that Abraham Lincoln had to unite our country, and what he sacrificed his life for that. Anyway, I could go on and on. Oh yeah, Denise, good suggestions for country songs. I want those, because that's where I'm going with this long winding story. So Barbara and I started writing this song, and she said, because we're trying to write songs that could become cuts for other artists, and she said, "Why does the world need this song?" And I never once in my songwriting life have stopped writing a song to think why anybody else in the world needs that song. Like, I've only ever written them for me. Like, I'm writing it, because I need this song. And it was just such a funny thing, because it's a whole new way to think about songwriting. Like, when you're thinking about it in terms of another artist wanting to record that song, or fitting into this Nashville formula, which is a real thing. And, you know, people poo-poo country music because they think it's all like formula, which it is. But it's really, really hard to write well within that formula, because you're trying to say simple things in a new and interesting way. So, anyway, that was just the funny moment I had with Barbara. Ken is saying, Ken, when did that happen? Ken's saying a tornado destroyed downtown Lubbock with damage estimated at around $3.84 million or $3. Oh, it's a joke. Okay, wait, Ken. Me and jokes, man, they go whoop. Hey, let me reread what Ken said, because I just ruined his joke. It's a tornado destroyed downtown Lubbock. Damage was estimated at $3.84. My memory of that area is just, so that was, my son had just turned 1. My husband and my son and I started in Massachusetts, and we drove to New Mexico because I was on tour with Mark Douglas Berardo. And that stretch of highway, like, we both got sick. And that stretch of highway, it's just straight nothing that smells like oil, because there's all the oil hoobies. Someone help me with what they're called. It's just, so, like, every time I think of that, driving through that, I'm like, I cannot drive through that area, because it just reminds me of feeling sick and smelling petroleum. Anyway, what was I talking? Oh, so here's where I was going with this. So I came back writing sojourn. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try to write a song that I was just trying to write something a little more commercial, I guess. No, Keith, I don't think that they were oil refineries. They were like the things. They kind of remind me of AT-ATs from Star Wars. I think they're the things that pump the oil out. I know I sound like a nitwit right now. I just don't. I should have known what they were called before I decided to start talking about it. So this song, as I've mentioned, my husband and I are complete dweebs. Like last night we had the biggest of just oil wells. Okay, maybe they're just oil wells. Yes, thank you. That was a simple term. I should have been able to come up with that. So that cake that I made for my son, and I posted it online, and people were commenting like, you should do this as a side business. And I'm laughing to myself because it's like a Duncan Hines box mix of cake. My husband and I just had the stupidest laugh over like, wouldn't it be so funny if we like put all this money into opening a bakery and it was really fancy and we were promoting it, and all it was just like you making Duncan Hines cake mix. Anyway, my point being that when you're first dating someone and you're just like so enthralled with them, it's just, it can be scary to show them like the level of your nerditude. And so it's just like you like me now, but wait till you see me when I haven't had a meal in a couple of hours. So anyway, that is what this song is. You think you know me like a theme in a magazine. Carefully curated positive publicity. Barely scratching the surface. Gotta dig deep down. Sure, I'm pleasant when the days are sunny over a glass of champagne. I am a delight with the lights out, honey, but I hope you still hold me when it rains. Just a nervous tick. Find a song on the radio so I can sing along with it. Afraid to let you see clearly, so I hold back so much. Sure, I'm pleasant when the days are sunny over a glass of champagne. I am a delight with the lights out, honey, but I hope you still hold me when it rains. When it rains, when it rains, when it rains, when it rains, when it rains. Ken Stahl. Thank you. Keith suggests I open a bakery and call it Dunkin's and just see if anyone catches it. My favorite tour stop is Starbucks. I know. That's so lame. But it's just become so we drive an electric car, and it seems like every place that there is to charge the car is conveniently located next to a Starbucks. So maybe they've just really got their customers dialed in. Like, they know the folks that are charging their electric car want Starbucks. But that's where, every 2 hours, my son and I are in Starbucks getting the little snack box and my Irish cream cold brew. That's not an interesting story. It's just me telling you about my life on the road. And so just one more time, my little pitch tonight, and I don't want Mondays to be me trying to pitch you things, honestly. But I had this scare last week where my Facebook got hacked, and I'm so sorry if you're one of the people who got one of those messages, and I fixed it. But it just made me realize, if my entire fan base exists on Facebook only and I lose that, then I have lost everything. And so if you are interested and you have the time and an email address, if you just go to my website, just tonight I made a tab at the top to sign up for my mailing list. I try very hard to make those mailings interesting, and I'm doing some training to make sure that I'm not sending people tour dates for Missouri if they live in Florida. But it would just mean so much to me if you like what I do and you want to keep up with tour dates and things I'm recording, which is a lot this year. You can sign up right on there, and then we don't lose touch when jerks hack my Facebook page. So, Ken likes my nerditude thing. I really want to make a shirt with my logo on it that says my mantra, which is revel in your nerditude. Just own it. Own it. I love history, and it gets me going, man. So, Ken, thank you. Ken is suggesting I just pitch it. Don't be shy about it. So, Ken and I have a mutual friend, which is Shannon in a Dress. She's awesome. Check her out. And she's just so good at putting herself out there shamelessly, which is a good thing. In this business, you need to be able to do that. And I look to her as a role model for this sort of thing. So my last tune tonight, since it's my son's 3rd birthday, I'm going to sing the song that I wrote for him with Lori McKenna. And you've probably heard the story before, but man, I'm putting myself back 3 years ago. Robin, hello! Oh, I'm so glad to see you. Oh, it's so good to see your name. So a month before I had my son, I went to Lori McKenna's house, and it was my first co-write. I now know that you show up to a co-write with some ideas. I had no idea. I thought that because when I go to write a song, I don't necessarily have ideas. I just kind of sit down with my notebook and begin. But nope, when you're writing with multi-Grammy-winning Lori McKenna, you show up with a damn idea. If only I could fix that. But anyway, we were sitting down and just talking about my life because, she's a mom, and we were really related on that point. And, we were just talking about how for my 3 stepdaughters, it was hard to accept me in different ways. And so then adding a baby on top of that was really hard for one girl in particular. And so we wrote this song because at the end of the day, the baby wasn't going to know if she had reservations about him or not. He was just going to love her. And it's interesting because to me, the song was so clearly about that. But other people have said to me that it spoke to them just as a new mom. It can be really scary to become a parent for that first time, and just there's such comfort in knowing that they just love you. You can screw up all the time and they still love you. And I think that's my number one parenting thing, right? Is you just got to be there. You just got to show up. I'm going to make myself cry because my son is 3. It's just such a bittersweet's the word. Yeah. It's a little sad and heartbreaking, and it's really happy, and it's all the things. And all he wants to do is know if somebody is a good guy or a bad guy. And pretty much every time we saw strangers while on the road, he would look at me and say, "Mama, that's my friend." Everyone's his friend. All right. This is from me and Lori McKenna. Not carrying a big bag, he won't have much to say. Might not look just like you, but he's yours anyway. Might be carrying a Band-Aid, a cure, or a dream come true. But he's coming into this world just loving you. Won't have change in his pocket, no debts to pay. He won't change the station, he'll like any song you play. He won't be mad at your mother or your dad. He won't know that love can be cruel. No, he's coming into this world just loving you. If love were a simple thing, we wouldn't have to think twice. If hearts were protected, we wouldn't have to hide. Others have let you down, we all know it's true. But he's coming into this world just loving you. So put down your baggage and give yourself time. He's looking toward you with no fear in his eyes. He doesn't know why you cry or you hurt, or why anyone would want solitude. No, he's coming into this world just loving you. Love ain't no simple thing, we all have to think twice. Hearts made of paper wear out in time. Cradles and blankets are all out in full view. And he's coming into this world just loving you. Oh, he's coming into this world just loving you. Guys, thank you. My friend Jake. Jake, don't leave yet. Don't leave. I want to gush about you. And Keith, thank you so much. I agree. Keith was saying that if quarantine had a bright side, it was in finding people online, and I feel absolutely the same way. And thank you, Melody. I'm so glad that song meant something to you. And Nick, oh my gosh, Nick is requesting "The Wind That Shakes the Barley." So I had a band about 10-ish, a little more than 10 years ago, and we recorded a version of "The Wind That Shakes the Barley." If you look on all your streaming services under Grace Morrison and the RSO, you can find our version of "The Wind That Shakes the Barley." Nick, I would have to practice that, and I do this every Monday night, and I am happy. I will absolutely 100% practice that song and play it for you next Monday night. I do this every Monday at 7 Eastern. And I'm so sorry I can't just do that right now, but I for sure, I screwed up my own song earlier, and there are many, many words in that song. But you know what? Between now and then, for you regular viewers, go watch the movie. Speaking of things that make you cry, go watch the movie "The Wind That Shakes the Barley." It stars Cillian Murphy. It's really beautifully done. It's a difficult subject. Okay, Jake Dalt. So Jake and I met right after I graduated high school. We went on tour. And it was put together by my cousin Wayne, who had this really amazing knack for bringing people together, right? Wouldn't you say? Like, he could bring people together. And so, like, for me, I had just graduated high school, and he said, hey, Gracie, do you want to go on tour in a tour bus? And, like, yes, of course I do. And it was just such a big moment in my life. I talk about it all the time. And isn't it so interesting? Like, when you're in a moment, you don't realize that it's a big moment in your life necessarily, right? Like, you can just, I'm sure Jake and I, we had moments on that tour we were complaining. But in retrospect, it was just such an experience. And so Wayne passed away. It was last week. I think Wayne passed away last week. Trevor, hello! Trevor's been my Spotify link hero. But the thing that I want that's so important to remember about Wayne is how selfless he was, and, like, really, despite some of the organizational issues that tour had, the point of it was to help kids. And so next Monday, I don't have a guest per se, but I am going to dedicate the show to my cousin Wayne and his charity Rock for Christmas, and I'm going to share some pictures of that tour. And maybe Jake, maybe you could, I don't know what your schedule's like, but I can have guests on here. Is Hinder a band? Jake, is Hinder a band? He says he's programming Hinder. Help me. I don't know lots of things. But Jake was our lighting designer on that tour. And it's so funny, like, when I think of the shows, the point of that tour was we were going to be from LA to Florida and maybe up to Boston performing at Hard Rock cafes. So here's everyone's homework between now and next Monday. I need you to go ahead and watch the movie Spinal Tap. I need you to do some research on some classic rock bands, like make sure you know who Badfinger is, and AC/DC, and Carmine Appice. Jake, help me if I'm missing some things. You got to go look up 80s hair band XYZ. Because I'm going to be referring to all of these things, and I'm going to have pictures. If anyone's like, I have a hard time believing that the people who tune into my show would be, but if anyone's like really into metal bands, the band Lizzie Borden was represented there. Members of, all right, I'm going to Google the band Hinder. Does anybody else know who Hinder is? I'm going to this is going to be one of those situations, Jake, where I feel like a moron after, right? Because they're like a huge band, and I'm going to feel stupid. I think that's what's going to happen. So anyway, it was just so cool, and like all these rock stars were there, and like I don't know who Hinder is. I was 17 and I didn't know who some of these people were. Ken knows Carmine Appice. Oh yeah, I went on tour with Carmine Appice and Jake. So Eddie Money was involved in subsequent iterations of that tour. He wasn't on that trip, but we did play with Eddie Money as well. Oh, Lips of an Angel. I feel like I know that song. Okay, Jake, I might be stupid because I know Lips of an Angel. Was that like 2003-ish? Lips of an Angel? I'm guessing here. Or was it more recent than that? So I was just thinking of other bands that were represented on that tour. At the time, he didn't play with them. Oh, Nick is wondering if I can play to Stand on Your Shore. Okay, Nick, I will see if I can work that one up too. Yeah, I got you. I'm excited to have song requests. So CeeLo Green, his bass player, music director, was on that tour. Just so many people. And it's so funny to look back and realize, like, ignorant little me did not know I was standing there with royalty. Like the guy who wrote Jungle Love for Steve Miller Band, Greg Douglas. He was there on that tour bus with me. But, okay, Jake, you get back to work. I love you too, and I miss you too. And I'm going to share some pictures of our experiences next Monday. So even if you can't see it live, you can see the replay. and I will tag you in it. So everybody, go watch Spinal Tap this week, and I'm going to practice my songs and get pictures together, and we're just going to have a great time talking about my crazy rock band tour and helping kids. And then week after that, my friend Mike Ryan is a fabulous singer-songwriter who came in second place at Songwriter Serenade this year, where I went, and he's going to be joining me to share some songs. And then the week after that, my friend Wyatt Espelin from the same event is going to be on. He is a hoot. You're going to love him. And as always, I hope you have a great week. Sign up for my mailing list on gracemorrison.com, and I will see you next time.